Rami lived a simple life above Earth. He worked as a mechanic on the orbital station, fixing old machines and checking broken panels. The job was not exciting, but he liked the silence of space and the slow rhythm of his days. He often looked at the blue planet below and thought of home, though he had no family waiting for him. For him, the station was both workplace and shelter. One evening, while he was repairing a cooling pipe, the warning lights turned red. The station alarm echoed through the halls. Rami froze, holding his tools tightly. He had seen alarms before, but this one was different. The sound was heavy, steady, and full of danger. His communicator buzzed with orders. All crew returned to command deck. Unknown vessel detected, the voice of the commander said. Rami left his work behind and rushed through the narrow halls. Other workers moved with him, whispering in fear. They had all heard stories of pirates and strange ships, but none had seen one up close. When Rami entered the command deck, the screens showed a massive shadow drifting near the station. The ship was unlike anything he had seen before. It was not human-made. Its surface curved like living armor, glowing with soft light. Strange symbols moved across its hull, shifting as if alive. The size of the vessel was terrifying. It could have swallowed their station whole. Everyone waited for an attack, but none came. Instead, a single message arrived. The screen flickered, and lines of unknown script appeared. The station computers struggled to translate. At last, words in plain language appeared. "We seek the human named Rami." The command deck fell silent. Every eye turned toward him. Rami's heart raced. He had never spoken to anyone beyond Earth and its stations. Why would a ship like this ask for him by name? The commander frowned and asked the computer to confirm. The message repeated, calm and direct. "We seek the human named Rami. He must come aboard." Rami's mouth went dry. "Why me?" he whispered. No one had an answer. The commander studied him for a moment, then spoke in a careful voice. "You will go. They are not attacking us. If they wanted war, we would already be destroyed. Maybe they want to talk. Maybe they want to warn us. But they asked for you." Rami wanted to refuse. He was only a mechanic. He fixed machines. He was not a leader, not a soldier, not a scientist. What could he say to aliens? Still, he saw fear in the eyes of the crew around him. If he refused, they would think him a coward. A smaller craft detached from the alien vessel and moved toward the station. It shone like silver and moved without sound. It stopped near the airlock and waited. Rami was given a suit, though the aliens had promised no harm. His hands shook as he put it on. Before stepping into the airlock, he looked once more at Earth through the window. The planet seemed so calm, so safe, while his life was about to change forever. The airlock opened, and he stepped into the alien craft. At once he noticed the difference. The air smelled clean, almost sweet, and the walls seemed to breathe. Strange lights guided him down a long path. He walked slowly, his heart beating fast. At the end of the path stood tall figures. They were not soldiers with weapons. They looked more like guardians, silent and watchful. Their eyes glowed faintly, and their forms seemed both solid and soft at once. One of them raised a hand, not in threat, but in greeting. "Rami," a voice spoke inside his mind. It was not loud, but it was clear. "The Queen wishes to see you." He wanted to speak, but his throat was dry. Still, he followed. Step by step, the path widened into a grand chamber. The walls shimmered like water, and in the center stood a figure unlike any he had ever seen. She was tall and commanding, yet graceful. Her presence filled the room, making him feel both small and important at the same time. She looked at him with calm eyes, and in that moment Rami knew she was no ordinary being. Her voice entered his mind, soft but powerful. Human, my daughter needs you. The words struck him like a storm. He blinked, unsure if he had heard correctly. A queen from another world was speaking to him directly, not to Earth, not to the station, but to him alone. The chamber grew silent, waiting for his reply. His heart pounded. His life as a simple mechanic was gone. A path had opened before him, one he never expected. Rami stood frozen in the chamber, staring at the queen. Her presence pressed down on him like a great wave, yet there was no threat in her eyes. Instead, there was urgency, as if time itself was slipping away from her grasp. He swallowed hard, unsure how to speak in front of such a being. "The daughter of my blood is dying," the queen said, her words clear inside his mind. "Your kind carries what she needs. Human, you must help her." Rami's thoughts spun wildly. He was a mechanic, not a healer, not a doctor. He could fix broken pipes, rebuild engines, and replace metal panels, but what could he do for a sick alien princess? He wanted to say no, to tell her she had the wrong person, but his voice would not come. The queen moved closer. She was tall, her body shining faintly with colors that shifted like the surface of a pearl. Despite her alien form, there was a strange grace in the way she carried herself. She was no monster. She was a ruler, and her words were heavy with power. "You ask why it must be you," she continued, as if reading his fear. "Our healers have tried and failed. Their wisdom cannot save her. But your blood carries the balance that our kind has lost. This is why you are chosen." Rami shook his head. "I do not understand. I have nothing special. I only fix machines." Her eyes glowed softly. "Sometimes the simplest hands hold the greatest key. You doubt, but I do not. Will you refuse a mother's plea?" The chamber grew still. The guardians around the room did not move. Their glowing eyes were fixed on Rami, waiting for his answer. His chest tightened. He wanted to run back to the station, to the life he knew. But something inside him stirred. This was not just about him. A life was at stake, and that life was tied to the survival of an entire royal line. At last, Rami found his voice. "I will try. But I do not know what I can do." The queen lowered her head slightly, a gesture of respect. "That is enough." She turned and motioned for him to follow. The path led deeper into the ship. The walls pulsed with soft light, and Rami felt the air thrum with energy, like the heartbeat of some living giant. He walked carefully, his steps echoing against the strange surface. Soon they entered another chamber. This one was smaller, but filled with glowing crystals that gave off a gentle warmth. In the center lay a figure upon a raised bed. She was the princess. Rami's breath caught. She was unlike anyone he had ever seen, yet there was something fragile and human in her stillness. Her body shimmered faintly, but her skin was pale and thin, almost transparent. Her large eyes opened slowly, glowing faintly, and rested on him. "Is this the human?" her voice whispered in his mind. "Yes, my daughter," the queen answered gently. "This is the one who will help you." The princess studied him with curiosity. She did not look afraid. Instead, she smiled faintly, though the effort seemed to cost her strength. "You are small," she said softly, "but your steps sound strong." Rami did not know what to say. He felt awkward, standing before a princess of another world, yet her words made him straighten his back. He stepped closer, trying to look calm even though his heart was racing. "What is your name, human?" the princess asked. "Rami," he replied quietly. She nodded as if memorizing it. "I am Lyra." Her voice was soft, but it carried a kind warmth. Rami looked at her carefully. He saw how weak she was, how her breath trembled as she spoke. A strange feeling stirred inside him, a mix of pity and determination. He wanted to help her, even if he did not know how. The queen touched his shoulder gently. You must spend time with her. Let her body feel the presence of your kind. The healers will guide you, but your spirit is the medicine she needs most. Rami frowned. Spirit? I do not understand. The queen's gaze grew distant. There is more to life than flesh and blood. Humans carry something we have long forgotten. It is this force that can restore her balance. Before he could ask further, the guardians opened the walls, and several alien healers entered. They carried tools and glowing stones, placing them around the bed. Their movements were precise, yet they watched Rami with quiet respect, as if his presence was the most important part of the process. One of the healers spoke into his mind. Sit beside her. Let her hold your hand. Rami hesitated, but the princess extended her thin hand toward him. Slowly, he reached out and placed his hand in hers. Her skin was cool and smooth, almost like silk. She sighed softly, her eyes closing. Warmth spread from her hand into his. It was strange, but not unpleasant. He felt as though some invisible current was moving between them. The crystals around the bed glowed brighter, responding to the connection. The healers nodded. Good. The link is forming. Stay with her. Rami sat silently, letting the moment stretch on. Lyra's breathing grew steadier, her face less strained. For the first time, a spark of hope appeared in her eyes. The queen watched from the side, her expression unreadable, yet her gaze never left her daughter. She spoke again, her voice heavy with meaning. Remember this, Rami. From this moment, your life is bound to hers. If you choose to walk away, she will fall. If you stay, she may rise. Rami felt the weight of her words settle over him. He was no longer just a mechanic. He was part of something far greater than himself, a choice that could shape the fate of an alien world. Rami soon learned that life inside the alien ship followed a rhythm unlike the station he had known. There was no sound of metal clanging, no hum of broken machines waiting to be fixed. Instead, the ship seemed alive, breathing softly around him. Light shifted across the walls like flowing water, and every corner pulsed with quiet energy. Yet even in this strange place, one thing became clear. His place was at the side of Princess Lyra. The queen had ordered the healers to watch Rami closely, but they never treated him as an intruder. They guided him with calm voices, showing him how to sit near Lyra, how to keep his hand in hers, and how to steady his breathing so she could mirror his calm. At first, Rami thought it was nonsense. He was no healer. He was no teacher of spirits. Yet whenever he stayed beside her, her chest rose stronger, and the glow in her skin brightened. Whenever he left, her breathing weakened. It was undeniable. Somehow his presence mattered. Lyra began to speak with him often. Her voice was soft, yet filled with curiosity. She asked about Earth almost every time he came near. Are your skies always blue? She asked one day. No, Rami said. Sometimes they are gray with clouds, and sometimes they glow red at sunset. But on clear days, the blue stretches so wide you feel small beneath it. Her eyes widened as though she could see it through his words. I wish I could stand under such a sky. Our world has no color like that. We live under heavy clouds. Another time she asked, do your people sing together? Yes, Rami said with a faint smile. We sing when we are happy, when we work, and sometimes even when we are sad. Her lips curved into a faint smile. I would like to hear such songs. The more she listened, the brighter her eyes became. The healers observed carefully and noted her strength was growing faster when she spoke with him. Rami began to understand. It was not only his hand or his blood that gave her strength. It was his stories, his laughter, and the human way of seeing the world. One evening, as he described the sound of rivers rushing over stones, Lyra laughed softly. The sound surprised him. It was light and short, but it carried warmth. The healers exchanged glances of amazement. "My people do not laugh often," she whispered. "We lost such things long ago. But you carry it still. That is why I feel lighter when you are near." Rami's chest tightened. He had never thought of himself as special. Yet here was a princess who seemed to draw life from his presence. He did not know what power lay in him, but for the first time, he believed he could help. Still, not all was peace aboard the ship. Some members of the Queen's Council came to see Lyra. Their robes shimmered with the same light as the walls, but their eyes were colder than the healers. They stood near Rami, whispering in their own tongue. He could not understand their words, but he could feel their doubt. Later, when the council had left, Lyra looked at him and asked in a quiet voice, "Do you trust my mother?" Rami hesitated. "She frightens me," he admitted. "But I see how she looks at you. She wants nothing more than for you to live. That part of her I can trust." Lyra smiled faintly. "Then I will trust her too, because you do." The bond between them grew stronger each day. Lyra's hand no longer trembled when she reached for his. She began to sit up with help, her voice gaining strength. The queen visited often, watching with silent hope. Whenever she entered, the chamber filled with a presence so powerful that Rami almost held his breath. But beneath that power was a mother's fear. One night, as the ship drifted in silence, Rami sat alone in his chamber. He thought about the whispers he had seen among the council. Some had looked at Lyra with sharp eyes, as if they wanted her to fail. He did not understand why. She was their princess, their future. Why would they not want her to live? The next morning, he found the answer in a hushed conversation between two healers. Though their language was foreign, the translator device helped him catch fragments. Words like weak, unfit, and succession reached his ears. His chest grew tight. There were those who did not want Lyra to recover. They feared her strength would not be enough to rule. To them, it was better she fade away, leaving space for another heir. Rami looked at the princess lying on her bed, her eyes bright with hope as she waited for him to tell her more about Earth. His jaw clenched. He could not allow anyone to take that hope from her. So he sat beside her once again, holding her hand firmly. He spoke of mountains covered in snow, of children running barefoot through fields, of stars filling the night sky. With every word, her smile grew wider. Rami did not know what dangers waited ahead, but he knew one thing with certainty. He would not let her be taken by despair. If his presence was her strength, then he would give it to her fully. And somewhere in the great vessel, shadows continued to gather. The next morning, Rami awoke to the soft hum of the ship. Light flowed along the walls, washing his chamber in gentle blue. He felt restless. The whispers he had overheard the day before lingered in his mind. Some members of the Queen's Council did not trust him. Some did not want Lyra to survive. The thought filled him with unease. He needed to understand why humans were so important to her people. The Queen appeared at his chamber door. She did not speak at first, only studied him with her deep, glowing eyes. When she finally spoke, her voice was calm, yet carried weight. "Rami, it is time you understand the truth. What you think of as simple presence is far greater than you imagine." He stood and followed her. She led him through a hallway that shimmered with shifting light. Guardians lined the walls, silent and unwavering. They did not touch him, but he felt their watchful attention. At last, they entered a large chamber filled with screens and glowing symbols. The Queen gestured for him to look at them. Images appeared her people in their early days, soaring ships, massive cities, and then, humans. "Long ago, our people observed humans," she explained. "We thought them weak. Small, fragile, and unorganized. We tried to dominate them, to study them, and even to control them. Yet no matter how we tried, humans adapted, resisted, and survived. Your kind flourished where we failed. Rami frowned. But, we are just people. Why would you need one of us now? The queen's eyes softened. Because we lost what humans have naturally. Adaptability, resilience, the spark that allows life to thrive even in impossible conditions. Lyra's condition is not caused by illness alone. It is caused by imbalance. Our kind depends on controlled energy flows. Humans do not. Your blood, your presence, carries the harmony we cannot create artificially. Rami's mind raced. You mean? I have something she needs inside me. Yes, the queen said. You do not need to know how it works. You only need to be there. Your strength, your spirit, your very being stabilizes her. That is why she responds to you and no one else. He looked at her, unsure how to react. He was a mechanic. Not a scientist. Not a healer. Yet somehow, by being himself, he had become more important than he had ever imagined. The queen continued. Many in my council do not understand. They see her weakness and doubt the method. They believe she cannot rule and wish for her to fail. That is why some of them whisper, and some act in secret. You must protect her not only with presence but with vigilance. Rami swallowed. Protecting her? Against aliens. He felt fear creep in, but he pushed it aside. He thought of Lyra's bright eyes, her faint smile, and the strength she gained from his stories and presence. He would not let her down. The queen placed a hand on his shoulder. I do not ask this lightly. You are far from home, in a world you do not know. But humans carry something my people cannot. That is why you are here. He nodded slowly, feeling the weight of responsibility settle over him. It was bigger than he had ever faced, yet a strange calm rose within him. Somehow, he knew he could rise to meet it. Later that day, he returned to Lyra's chamber. She was awake, her eyes bright, waiting for him. Her hand reached out instinctively, and he took it. She smiled faintly, and he felt warmth flow through him, the same warmth that had guided her recovery. Did you learn something today? She asked, her voice curious. Yes, he said carefully. Something important. Something I think you already knew. Her eyes sparkled. Tell me. He hesitated, then spoke. Your people, they tried to control humans long ago. They thought we were weak. But we survived. And somehow, I have something that can help you. Something no one else can give. Her eyes widened. You mean, me? Yes, he said. I don't know how it works, but your strength grows when I am here. I have to stay, and I will. She squeezed his hand. I knew it. That is why I felt hope when you came. Rami smiled faintly. Then we both have something to learn. I will help you as much as I can. At that moment, the bond between them grew stronger. He realized that his fear was not weakness, it was awareness. He understood the danger, but he also understood his power. Not strength of body, but strength of heart and spirit. That was what mattered here. The queen watched from the doorway, her eyes soft but vigilant. She knew the council's doubts could become action. But for now, she let them be. She had chosen Rami, and that choice was stronger than any whispered fear. Outside the chamber, shadows moved quietly. Rami did not see them yet, but the danger that awaited them was growing. Soon, he would have to face not only the mystery of Lyra's condition but the silent threats from those who wanted her to fail. Inside the chamber, Rami held her hand firmly. The warmth of her presence filled him with determination. He had learned the hidden truth: humanity was not weak. Humanity was essential. And now, he would prove it. The next few days passed slowly for Rami and Lyra. The princess's strength continued to improve when he was near, yet danger quietly crept through the ship. Some of the Queen's Council members whispered among themselves, their eyes sharp and calculating. They did not trust a human with the life of the air. Rami had felt their suspicion, but now their intentions became clear. One evening, as he sat beside Lyra, the ship trembled slightly. The lights flickered. A low alarm sounded, soft at first, then louder. The healers rushed to the crystal bed, checking the systems, while Rami instinctively held Lyra's hand tightly. "What is happening?" he asked. "Rebels," one of the healers said quietly. "There are those among the council who wish the princess to fail. They want her to weaken or vanish. They believe it is the only way the empire can survive." Rami's heart pounded. They want her to die." The healer nodded. "Some do. They think her weakness will lead to chaos, and they see you as an outsider interfering. They will try anything." Rami looked down at Lyra. She smiled faintly, unaware of the danger, her trust in him complete. He could not let anyone take that from her. Suddenly, the chamber doors opened, and shadows moved in. Rami saw figures in dark robes, their faces hidden. They moved quickly, carrying strange devices that glowed faintly. The healers stepped forward, but the humans in their midst seemed unsure how to stop them. Rami stood in front of Lyra, placing his body between her and the intruders. "Stay back," he said firmly, though he felt fear pressing against his chest. The rebels ignored him. They advanced, their devices humming. Rami realized the danger was real. This was not a test. They wanted to harm the princess. Thinking quickly, he grabbed one of the glowing crystals from the healer's table. It pulsed in his hand. He did not know exactly how it worked, but he threw it toward the intruders. The crystal shattered, sending a bright wave of light across the chamber. The shadows froze, their devices flickering and sparking. The rebels hissed in frustration, retreating a few steps. Rami pressed forward. He did not know how long he could hold them, but he refused to back down. Lyra looked at him with wide eyes, her hand gripping his. "You are brave," she whispered. "I have to be," he said. "For you." The healers joined in, forming a protective circle around the princess. Their glowing stones pulsed, creating a barrier of light. The rebels tried to push forward, but the barrier was strong. Rami realized that together, with the healers and his presence, they could resist this attack. Yet the danger was not over. Rami saw that the rebels were not alone. They had knowledge of the ship's systems, and some panels began to flicker under their control. Power shifted, lights dimmed, and the air grew tense. Rami's mind raced. He needed a plan. He remembered the mechanics of systems on the station. Small, clever adjustments could redirect energy. Without thinking, he ran toward a control panel. Using what he had learned repairing machines, he rerouted power to the chamber, strengthening the light barrier. The rebels hissed again, stumbling as the barrier intensified. Rami felt sweat on his brow, his hands moving quickly as he balanced human ingenuity with alien technology. The healers watched in awe. Finally, after 10 minutes, the rebels withdrew. Their devices dimmed and they melted back into the shadows of the ship. The alarm stopped. The lights returned to normal. Lyra's breathing grew calm. Rami sank onto the floor beside her, exhausted but relieved. She reached for his hand, squeezing it weakly but with gratitude. "You saved me," she said softly. "You helped too," he replied. "I could not have done this alone." The queen entered the chamber quietly, her eyes surveying the scene. She nodded at Rami, a mixture of approval and relief in her expression. "You have proven your courage, human. But know this, the challenge is not over. Others will try. There are those who wish to see her fail, and they will not give up easily." Rami looked at Lyra and felt a fierce determination rise in him. Fear still lingered, but it no longer controlled him. He understood now that protecting her was not only about standing between her and danger. It was about staying calm, thinking clearly, and using every skill he had, even those that seemed ordinary. Lyra smiled faintly, her trust in him stronger than ever. Rami realized that their bond was more than companionship. It was the key to her survival, the spark of human strength that the Queen had spoken about. For the first time, he felt confident that together, they could face whatever came next. Shadows might move in the corners of the ship, but as long as he stayed beside her, he would give her the courage to continue, and perhaps, in time, help her reclaim the life that the rebels sought to take. Rami spent the following days beside Princess Lyra, observing, learning, and trying new ways to help her. Each morning, he arrived before the healers and stayed late into the evening. He noticed patterns in her energy that no one had seen before. Her body responded not only to alien treatments but to simple human actions, laughter, calm words, and the warmth of another hand. One day, as he adjusted the crystals surrounding her bed, an idea came to him. The alien technology was precise, controlled, and rigid. Humans, however, often found solutions in unpredictable ways. Rami thought about the machines he had repaired on Earth. Sometimes the best fix was to combine methods that seemed incompatible. He spoke to the lead healer. "I have an idea," he said. "Maybe if we combine the crystal's energy with simple human patterns, movement, touch, rhythm, it could stabilize her faster." The healer looked uncertain but allowed him to try. Rami guided Lyra's hand to a crystal and encouraged her to move it slowly, following the rhythm of her breath. He mirrored her movements with his own hands, maintaining focus and calm. At first, nothing seemed to happen. Then, a faint glow spread through her body, brighter than he had ever seen before. "You are doing it," Lyra whispered, eyes wide. "I feel stronger." Rami smiled, careful not to show how much hope surged through him. "We are doing it together," he said. As the days passed, their method improved. He noticed that her pulse, which had once been weak and irregular, became steady. Her skin regained its faint glow, and the shimmer of illness began to fade. The healers watched in amazement, recording every change. The council, which had once doubted him, began to whisper in surprise. One afternoon, the Queen entered the chamber. She looked at the two of them working together and paused. "Rami," she said softly, "you have discovered what our science could not. You see that the key is not in power alone, but in presence, attention, and the connection between beings." Rami nodded. "I don't know why it works, but it feels natural. She responds when I am here, and we can adjust things together." The Queen's expression softened. "It is your human nature, your creativity, your patience, and your spirit. These are qualities my people lost long ago. You are restoring what we cannot provide." Lyra reached out, holding his hand firmly. "I can move now," she said, smiling. She pushed herself up slightly, her strength growing. "Rami, I can stand better each day." He helped her carefully. "You are stronger than you think," he said. "We just need to keep going." The breakthrough gave Rami hope, but he also knew that the danger was not gone. The rebels who had tried to harm Lyra still lurked within the ship. They could strike at any time. But he felt prepared. He had discovered the greatest tool humans had, the ability to adapt, to think creatively, and to act with courage when others could not. As the week passed, Lyra's recovery accelerated. She could sit for hours, talk, and even laugh freely. The healers began to rely on Rami's observations and ideas. He had become more than a companion, he was an essential part of the treatment. One evening, the Queen approached him quietly. "Rami, you have given my daughter life, and in doing so, you have given hope to all of my people. You understand the strength of humanity now, and you have proven it can match or surpass any technology we possess." Rami looked at her humbly. I only did what I could. She trusted me, and I trusted her. That is all. The Queen smiled faintly. Trust is the foundation of life, and you have built it well. Soon, Lyra will be strong enough to face the challenges ahead. But remember, your journey with her is not over. There are still dangers, and she will need your guidance. Lyra reached for him, her energy now stable and bright. Rami, I feel alive again. I never imagined this would be possible. You did all the hard work, he said. I just helped you find your own strength. For the first time since he arrived on the alien ship, Rami allowed himself to feel hope. He saw Lyra smiling and standing taller, her eyes bright with life. He realized that human creativity, persistence, and care could solve problems no machine could. That night, as he sat beside her, he thought about Earth, his simple life, and how far he had come. He had faced fear, danger, and doubt, yet he had discovered something incredible, that the human spirit, when applied with courage and determination, could heal, protect, and inspire. The ship was quiet, the shadows of the rebels still present but held back by the bond between human and princess. Rami knew the next steps would be difficult, but he felt ready. He had seen the power of humanity firsthand, and now he understood why the Queen had chosen him. As he held Lyra's hand and watched her sleep peacefully, he silently promised himself that he would not let her falter. Together, they had found a breakthrough that would save her life and prove that humanity's strength was more than physical, it was in heart, mind, and spirit. The days passed swiftly as Rami continued to stay beside Princess Lyra. Each morning, she woke stronger, her eyes bright and her smile warm. The shimmer of weakness that had once clouded her form was gone. The healers observed her carefully, amazed at the results. It was not only their alien technology that had brought her back but the connection between human and princess. Rami had grown more confident in his role. He no longer doubted himself. He had learned that his presence, his attention, and his willingness to act with courage made a difference. He had seen that humans carried a unique strength, adaptability, creativity, and care that no technology could replace. The Queen entered the chamber quietly, her tall figure glowing softly in the ambient light. She looked at her daughter and then at Rami. Her expression was serious but gentle. "You have done more than heal my daughter," she said. "You have shown that humanity carries something our kind lost long ago. Courage, trust, and perseverance are qualities that cannot be engineered. They must be lived." Rami bowed his head humbly. "I only did what I could. Lyra trusted me, and I trusted her. That is all." The Queen's eyes softened. "And that was enough. Your presence gave her life. Your actions proved that humans are not weak, as many of my people once believed. They are vital allies, capable of greatness." Lyra looked at Rami, her hand reaching for his. "I feel alive again," she said. "I can stand, speak, and move without fear. I never imagined this would be possible." "You found the strength inside yourself," Rami replied. "I only helped you realize it." The healers nodded in agreement. They had witnessed a miracle, not through machines alone, but through human connection. The energy of the crystals, the treatments, and the technology had all worked better because Rami had been there. His presence had stabilized the flow within Lyra, giving her body the balance it needed. The Queen walked closer and laid her hand gently on Rami's shoulder. "You have proven that humans are more than what others see. You have reminded us that strength lies not in dominance or control but in spirit, trust, and courage. Your actions today will be remembered by our people for generations." Rami felt a wave of pride and humility. He had never imagined that an ordinary human could change the course of another world. Yet here he was, standing in a chamber of an alien ship, having helped save the princess. Outside the chamber, the council members watched silently. Some bowed slightly, acknowledging the outcome. Others still carried doubt, but even they could not deny the truth. Humanity had value beyond what technology or power could measure. Lyra stood fully, steady and confident. She stretched her arms and smiled. "I am ready to take my place, Mother," she said. The Queen's eyes glowed with pride and relief. "You are ready," she replied. "And thanks to you, Rami, I have seen the proof of human worth. Your courage and spirit have saved my daughter, and in doing so, have shown that humans are essential to our future." Rami watched as Lyra moved freely, her strength fully restored. He realized that his life had changed forever. He had come as a simple mechanic from Earth, unsure and afraid. Now, he understood that even ordinary people could do extraordinary things when guided by courage and compassion. The Queen stepped aside, allowing Lyra to approach Rami. She placed her small hand in his. "You stayed when others might have left," she said. "You gave me life and hope. For that, I will always be grateful." Rami smiled softly. "You never gave up, either. That is what made this possible." The ship seemed to glow brighter as they stood together. The shadows of doubt and rebellion had faded, held back by trust and courage. Rami understood that this was more than a personal victory. It was a demonstration of humanity's potential, a lesson to the alien empire that humans were not to be underestimated. Later, as Rami prepared to return to Earth, the Queen approached him one final time. "Take this knowledge with you," she said. "Tell your people that their courage, ingenuity, and compassion are powerful. Remind them that they are capable of saving lives, changing worlds, and inspiring hope." Rami nodded. He felt a deep sense of purpose. "I will," he said. "I will never forget what I have learned here." The princess waved to him from her chamber, her eyes full of life and gratitude. "Thank you, Rami. You are part of my story now, and I will not forget you." He returned her smile and stepped toward the shuttle that would take him back to Earth. As he looked one last time at the alien ship, he understood something important. Humanity's value was not measured by power, technology, or size. It was measured by the heart, by courage, and by the willingness to stand for others when they needed help most. The shuttle lifted from the ship, carrying Rami back toward his home planet. He felt lighter, stronger, and more confident than ever. He had faced fear, uncertainty, and danger, yet he had learned that even the smallest human could make the greatest difference. And somewhere on the alien ship, Princess Lyra stood tall, her life restored, her eyes shining with hope. The Queen watched her daughter, proud of her recovery and grateful for the human who had made it possible. Humanity's place among the stars had been proven, not by war or conquest, but by spirit, courage, and heart. For Rami, it was more than a journey. It was a lesson that would stay with him forever, that humans were capable of extraordinary things, and that even in the darkest moments, hope, trust, and determination could change the course of worlds.